Okay, so I wanted to give you guys an update that this year we are going to do a teacher and a student campaign. I'm not going to give you the details about the student campaign just yet because it doesn't start until Halloween. But it will be a penny war and it will be a grade level competition. But I wanted to give you guys a heads up about the teacher campaign as well. That is the same window, October 31st through November 22nd, which is the day before we leave for Thanksgiving break. I do not have the envelopes just yet. If you guys have donated before, you know that you can take it out of your paycheck or you can write a check, a one-time thing. But I did want to make you aware of some incentives. I'm going to divide you guys into teams, which I will give to you once I have your envelope. I'll attach that to the envelope, what team you're on. And the team that raises the most money will get a catered lunch during the early release day PLC time in January, so January 11th. You guys will get pizza delivered for your PLC. So teams are divided by content, not by grade level, and then there's some miscellaneous people kind of added in there because like I don't really fit in the content area. And then the individual who donates the most money will get a pass to wear jeans for a week and a Starbucks gift card. So those are some incentives just kind of to get you excited about United Way. The reason that we partner with United Way, or one of the biggest reasons, is that this is really a way that we can inspire, empower, and unite with the families who are in need within our own county. I did not realize this, even though I've been donating to United Way since I started in Oldham County, but all the money that's donated in Oldham County stays in Oldham County. So it's actually providing for our community. Their mission is to improve lives in our community by engaging people to give, advocate, and volunteer. And they partner with organizations that you may know, such as like Big Brothers Big Sisters, American Red Cross, and the Oldham County Public Schools. So they support us, so it's nice to turn around and support them as well. And when you support the Oldham County United Way, you are supporting your actual neighbors, friends, and family, because it all stays in Oldham County. And this is one way that we can really unite with our community. So more to come on that. You'll get your envelopes, but I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Thank you. And I love how she's using the word incentives and not bribery or extortion with food, jeans, Starbucks. But no, all joking aside, we certainly know how organizations like United Way certainly help us in times of need, and may we never have to feel the impact of what the services do, but if we do, we know that they're there. So thank you, Taylor, for reaching out to us about that. Most of you were with us for our special called meeting, but I'm going to do a 5-minute quick overview. This is 15, 16 K-Prep data. I'm sorry that I have a typo up there. But just again to remind everybody where we were with the 4 different areas, our achievement, our gap, and our growth. And when you add those together, we have our learner score, which helps determine whether or not we made AMO. And we certainly know that while we have tons to celebrate, remember the achievement, the gap, and the growth are all out of 33 1/3%. So you can see that we're knocking the socks off of our achievement, and we have work to do in our gap and our growth. Just to remind us that from last year, our gap was down about 5 points, our growth was down about 0.5 point, and our learner score was down about 6 points. But we also know that the rules have changed to the game, and they're just scoring things differently, which is we're moving to a more of a continuous improvement plan. So again, the more that I'm in the data, the more revealing it is, and I think it's just allowing us to see where we need to reach all learners. Again, lots to celebrate. We have so much great things going on in this building. We cannot lose sight of that. Like with everything, when you begin to focus the microscope in, we begin to see more things clearly. And so, but let's not forget the great things. And just for those of you who weren't there, we continue to do incredible things with our achievement scores, which again, that's our proficient and distinguished ratings, And then look at our reading and math. That the points that we got out of those, you can get 100 points, so we're pretty impressive there. We increased our on-demand scores and our math scores in our achievement areas. Our non-duplicated group, our math percentiles in proficient and distinguished improved, which was awesome. We got our full program review points. We are still a school, a distinguished school, and our district is still a district of distinction. And then our overall score is an 80.1, but when you look at the cut scores for the state of Kentucky, that's 10 points higher than what the cut score allows. So if you got a 70.2, you would be a distinguished school. So you can see how well above that we are, showing the great things that we're doing. And again, that friendly competition with our other middle schools in Oldham County, we were the highest in achievement gap and growth, as well as learner score compared to our fellow middle schools. So lots to celebrate. And as we peel that onion, one more thing is, if someone had asked about this, while we love to be closer to the top 10, and that's a goal for us, it's always nice to know how we're ranked compared to our other middle schools in the state of Kentucky. I think there's 326 middle schools, so we're ranked 26. That's incredible. And then you can see where the other two middle schools ranked. I won't call those numbers out loud, but again, we're 26. Nice job, people. And again, it's friendly competition. We love our neighbors dearly, but we still like being up there on top. Okay. But we also know that we have to continue work because it's in our blood. I think it's just one of those unanswered attributes that we all seem to have, is that our group never seems to be satisfied, which I love about us, and that we still have work to do. And we know that one of the areas is that we've had really tremendous score last year, and then somehow something happened when I went to mechanics in 6th grade, so we're going to take a look at that and see if we can get that back on top. We're going to look at our growth. Who isn't growing? And in my, something's telling me that we need to look at our proficient and distinguished learners and see how we're moving them. And then also our novice reduction. That's just something that has started to creep up on us. We're getting more and more novice. And we know that the points are different now. Not to go into all of that, but if you didn't get to come to the meeting beforehand, I'll be glad to explain it to you. But we know that GAP has two components to it now. One of them is sheer novice reduction. So we'll look at that. And then certainly we want to make AMO, because when we make AMO, it lets us know and lets the community know and our kids know that we grew at least that half a point to show that we make that annual measurable outcome. And it also allows us then to be a school of distinction, which we are, and we'll get there. And it's nice to have that little title. And then last but not least is that if all means all, then we need to make sure that we're looking at every kiddo that we're not meeting. So that is my 2 cents on that and a review. And I'm clicking because I'm finished with my part. Again, those of you who weren't at the meeting that I went into great detail, I'll be more than happy to do that if you're interested. Secondly, there is a sign-in sheet coming around, only because I want to make sure that people aren't here get to watch the video. I must admit, yes, they get to watch it. The one from last month, we had difficulty getting the link hooked up in time, and so it was almost too late to actually show it, but I did watch it, and I'm still going to eat my ice cream, even though I saw myself on camera. But I will make sure that those people who weren't here get to see what we're doing. So if you know that the last part of our daytime together is our peer observations, we're going to talk a little bit about how that's all going to roll out, and then continue our work on ILTs. So Sarah?
Okay. So this is a little different. This is not like philosophy on learning and stuff like, the stuff that, we love to do. This is going to be more like nitty-gritty, let's get some work done and make some progress towards some of these goals that we've set for ourselves in professional learning, okay? So let's just start with the first sort of chunk of information that we need to deal with, and that's peer observations. So we're going to do 3 things in the next few minutes. We're going to review the peer observation process and clarify the requirements. Like, okay, so in order to make sure that we do this the right way, what are all those components that we need to make sure that we ensure happen? And then you may have gotten an email earlier today. I've loaded some resources for us on our professional learning Google Classroom. So we'll take a look at that and make sure everybody knows where those are and how to use them. And then the one sort of piece of homework that you're going to have, based on some of our discussion today, is to send me your peer observer's name by Friday. Now, in years past, we have kind of taken 6 or 8 folks and said, hey, y'all be peer observers, and these are the people you'll observe. So, responding to teacher voice from our notes day, it was expressed that, we would love to open that up, and we would love to all sort of be in this peer observer boat, and we would love to sort of have input on who observes us. So, that's what you're getting. And we're going to talk a little bit about sort of how to go about that today. Okay? So, if we're just looking at the peer observation items, if you go to the Professional Learning Google Classroom, which is right here, you'll see that I've kind of spelled it out for you so that if you leave here and like 4 days from now you're going, oh, I don't really remember exactly what it was I was supposed to do, or like I need to refresh myself on some of those documents, just come to this Google Classroom and everything is right here on this one announcement.
Samantha Say, please come to the front office.
So access the documents below to help you complete peer observation. You will find, first we have the peer observation overview. That's that 4-quadrant sort of step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 that I gave you before school started, that spells out exactly what you need to do in order to complete this process. Now, there's been a little bit of an update on that, and I've told some of you, I don't know if everybody has heard though, but it's rare that we get to take something off your plates. This is one of those rare occasions, so like, everybody get excited. In the past, you had to put evidence into SITs based on your observations on domains 2 and 3. There is no SITs component requirement at all this year for peer observation. Right. Super excited about that. It's like the one, there's your one for the year, right? The one thing that we've taken off. And so the peer observation overview now reflects that. So if you open up that document, it will have all that SIT stuff taken off step 4, that 4th quadrant. Okay? If you need to see what that looks like, here it is.
It should be in the shared with me.
Spells out every single piece of what you need to do. If you have questions about that, just grab me and ask. No big deal.
Those correlate with the 4 domains. So 1 and 4 are those non-observable ones, pre and post, and then the 2 and 3 are what you observe when you're in the classroom.
Well, this is the pre-observation. These are like the 4 steps of the observation. Like first you have a pre-observation conference.
And that's just like we do, Sarah.
Then you do the opposite. Do what now?
That's just like we do.
Oh, okay. All right. But you'll notice that the reflection piece has been taken off in terms of the SITs stuff. Okay? Next, you've got the evaluation cycle, and if you, and maybe a couple of you guys could pass this out again. Don't know if you have a hard copy from a few weeks ago. If not, we have extra copies. Not absolutely everyone gets a peer observation, but everyone but 12 of you, basically classroom teachers, get an observation. That's pretty much everyone. So in case you want to see who needs a peer observation, and then in which window that needs to occur, this is the document that will tell you that. So there are basically like 2 observation windows kind of that we try to focus on for peer observations, and that's already listed. So you know about when it's going to occur. The one thing you don't know yet, but you will this week, is who's going to do that observation in your classroom. Okay?
If I can, just at the top, you'll see the cycles 1, 2, 3, and 4. The peer observation should be under cycle 2 and 3. And the dates are right underneath and that Sarah was talking about.
All right, well, for whatever reason, that's not opening, but at least you have it in front of you, and I'll check on that and make sure it can open for you later. Okay, so we've got the document in front of us. We're looking at cycles 2 and 3, and you can see where you fall on the peer scale. So I'll give you just a second to look at that. All right, next. This is sort of what's taking the place of the SITs entry. It's very, very simple. When you complete a peer observation, you come to the Google Classroom and you click on Peer Observer Completion Notice. you put in your last name, and the observer, by the way, is the one who does this. The person being observed, you don't have to do anything, you don't go through the process. The person who's observing you will click on this link, fill in your last name, fill in your first name, the teacher you observed, the date that you observed, and then we have completed a pre-op, a minimum 20-minute observation, and a post-op, and you just click yes. There really is no option, right? And then you submit it, and then that gets automatically delivered to Carrie so that she knows, okay, that one's good to go. So that we can make sure that if anybody has missed anything or we have any issues, we can clear that up. But that is all you have to do in terms of paperwork, like documentation that you've done this peer op. Now, we know that the most valuable part anyway comes from that post-observation conference that you and the person that you observe are going to have. Like that's where the real heart of it is, and that's where the growth occurs. So let's not spend a whole lot of time on the documentation process. Questions on this? All right, and then finally, I did upload that PowerPoint that we used several weeks ago before school starts, just in case you weren't here maybe, or you want to refresh yourself on like, okay, but what's bias and what's a good way to sort of structure a post-observation conference? All of that is included in the PowerPoint that's loaded there for you as well. And then lastly, I included a link to the Kentucky Danielson framework. That's what you're going to need to make sure that you agree on before, like at that pre-op conference, you're going to have that in front of you, and the two of you will agree on, like, here's the component I'd really like for you to look at, this is what I would like feedback on. And so remember that framework is what drives what you're looking for in the classroom, and then that conversation that you have afterwards, so it's not sort of like a free-for-all, like, oh, I noticed cool posters on your wall, whatever. Okay. Questions about any of that information? Okay, now.
Question?
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Can we get a pick up here, so it's a different grade level, since we won't be able to observe them during class time?
That's a perfect segue. Not necessarily, because I will be more than happy to provide you coverage if this is someone, like if you and a same grade level person really, have a need or a desire to observe each other, we can work that stuff out. It's only 20 minutes, okay? Now, perfect segue to, okay, so who observes me, or who do I observe? So a lot of the feedback that we got in our notes day was we would love to be able to tie ILTs and some of these other strands that we're working through on professional learning in with some of the other existing strands like peer observation. So that is absolutely fair game. I can see in a lot of your ILT groups, it would be really valuable for you to sort of get in your small groups and say, hey, let's observe one another, right? Now, does that mean that your observer has to be from within your ILT group? Absolutely not. If you have like a real content need that you're looking at and you want some feedback on, or you have a real like developmental, like 6th grade kind of issue or 8th grade kind of issue, whatever that might be, that's fine as well, okay? That's why we're giving you until Friday to think, talk amongst yourselves, talk to your colleagues, start today, because you're gonna have some work time in your ILTs very soon. So decide if this is something that you want to do within your ILT, and if that serves your purpose, like, hey, peer observation, plus it's a data point maybe for the results that we're using on our ILTs. Score, right? So 2 birds, 1 stone. But if it's maybe that doesn't work for you, no problem as well. Questions on any of this? All right, I'll try to send you an email reminder about this too for the Friday thing. Now let's talk about ILTs. If you scroll down on the Google Classroom a little bit further, you'll see that I've uploaded another announcement for today. So the teacher work hours document that you received at the beginning of the school year, or actually the end of last school year if you were here, it gave you these target dates for ILT meetings. Remember, everyone either gets 3 hours of PD credit, or you're going to be paid a stipend if you have already notified Carrie that you're in that boat of having too much PD. So we know that you need time to meet together, very flexible. You guys determine when you're going to meet, but you'll notice that we've bumped the windows a bit. The first window was supposed to be like October 14th. Clearly that's not going to happen because we want to do it right rather than doing it fast. So our new date is November, I believe that says 18th. Every time you meet, someone volunteers to submit minutes to Carrie. You can just shoot her an email, send an attachment, share it via Google, however you would like to do that, okay? But Carrie gets minutes from, here's what we talked about during this meeting before November 18th. Then you'll do that again by January 20th. So a couple of months go by, and here's the progress that we're making now. Here's where we are on this template document, which we'll look at in a minute. And then finally, March 31st is kind of our target date for another round of minutes from your meeting, but also propose to Carrie how you would like to share your results. Now, this is where sort of it's free reign, basically, when you're thinking about, well, who might my audience be? Who would most want to know the results that we're finding as we've gone through this action research? Is it my colleagues? Is it the admin team here? Is it parents? Is it who might be most interested in knowing the results of some of this research work that we've done? So first of all, think about that. And then secondly, think about what format might that take. It does not have to be a PowerPoint presentation. Maybe you create a video. Maybe you write an article collaboratively. Maybe it's you're gathering lots of data and you're making spreadsheets and stuff because that sort of serves your purpose very well. It can be whatever best suits your needs to display the learning from this action research. Now, I know that doesn't give you a whole lot of direction, but that's really purposeful. I mean, we're doing that intentionally so that you can design what you want to create in terms of sharing the results of your learning. Questions on that? You'll see that you will share results in April or May. So by March 31st, you've given Carrie that third round of minutes and you've said, here's our proposal. And if she, wants to come back and talk to you and, we're going to tweak this a little bit, that's fine. It gives you some time there. So sometime by the end of the school year, we will have the results shared in some way to your intended audience. Okay? And I've also revised our teacher work hours document to reflect those new dates. So I've uploaded that here as well. All right. So we have reviewed the updated timeline on Google Classroom. Now we need to clarify some ILT groupings. What happened on that document that I asked you to add your name to in terms of which group am I with was that I believe that some of the groupings wound up being different than what we thought they were the last time we met in here. In other words, they're a lot bigger than they were last time. So we need to figure that out. So there's really no better way to do this than just to start with, okay, RTI strategies group. Is this accurate? Are you broken down into two different groups? Does that look right or wrong? It's wrong. Okay, so how can we fix it?
Andy, Sarah, Allie, me, and one other person, right? In something. Data analysis.
Some of us weren't here last time, and so we added in, so they may not know that some of us
Ah,
added in.
okay,
Do you know
because
what
we
I'm
did have
saying?
one or
So
two people
that's
not here.
really fair that just because I wasn't here at the last meeting.
Right.
That they've already met that initial time, and then now whenever you said make sure you go back and add
Yep.
your name in, we've added our name, but they may not know that.
Yeah, they
So
probably
it's
just didn't, and that's fine. But that's what we need to do today is to sort of say, okay, if this is too many people, then maybe we need to split into subgroups, and we need to look at different aspects of RTI, like so that I get to look at what I really want to look at and not that it's so big that it's kind of watered down and I don't get to sort of research what I want to. Does that make sense?
So Sarah, the
Yeah.
problem is we haven't met like as a group of RTI strategies to say, do we want to break into two and how
Right.
does it look?
We did before, but you're right that one or two of you weren't here, so we can do that again today, okay?
My name's
All right, and yeah, add names that are missing, right? Okay, so here's the technology feedback group, and I have a feeling that there might have been a couple of subgroups there as well, so we need to know that today. Adolescent development. This one I thought looked pretty accurate because you were going to kind of bump in and out, Taylor. We have a big compass group. So again, if the goal was to keep the groups relatively small, we might want to think about, do we need two subgroups, and if so, what are we really looking at with each group? And I wanted to say there were a couple of different aspects of grading in terms of feedback and that kind of thing. And then finally, we have the peer mediation group, and then classroom behavior management specific to transitions. All right? So here's the way I think this will work with the 30 minutes that we have left. We asked you to bring a device today because we're going to ask you to go to the Google Classroom and we're going to ask you to, in each of these small groups, like however you guys work that out, when you take these larger groups and some of you are kind of breaking off, that's fine. But that means that you need to start your official template. Some of you have already done that. And if so, pull that right up. But one person in each group will need to sort of take charge of that. Amy,
It's in
you want to talk us through
It's
this?
shared. It's in shared with me.
I asked her in advance. I'm not like calling her out in the middle of,
No, she totally is.
yeah.
Okay, so in order to do that, if you scroll down to where Sarah has the template, now not everybody needs to make a copy of it, it just needs to be one designated person, so I would actually probably kind of wait until you get into the group. Because one person's going to make a copy of Sarah's template that she's put on there, and I can tell you how to do that by going to File, Make a Copy.
Right there.
Where is it?
In back up.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you are.
Okay,
I'm on the classroom, but what heading is
Like
it
a
if
under?
you,
Let's see.
It's gonna look different on an iPad.
It's called ILT
it was
Planning
September
Template.
5th, ILT Planning Template 1617. So when you get into your group, one person will open that document and make a copy of it.
I already submitted a whole thing.
And then from there, that person is going to hit the share button, which is the blue button in the upper right-hand corner, and then going to share that document with their team members and with Carrie. And then it's through your email address, so you just start typing in. They all pop up.
I need help. How did you get here?
Through Google Classroom, Sarah has posted that on September 5th.
I think that's what's going on. I think in your iPad it's different.
iPads
It's
can-
different for me. Like, for me, if I go to Google
Individual
Classrooms, I just go to
tech
shared
issues,
with
I'll
me.
come around and help, but really just one person per group needs to do this anyway, but you all need to kind of know where to access it, okay?
We got you.
So, clarifying ILT groupings, that's one of your tasks here in the next 25 minutes or so. Also, the real work, once you get into your groups and you make a copy of this and you share it with your team members, with Carrie and with me. So we're looking up here at our last outcome that tells you exactly who to share this document with. The really important part is that you get time today to work through identifying your problem. So what problem do we want to solve, or what question do we really want to ask? Then, what's our action plan? And remember, there are lots of prompts there down on the left side that will specifically talk you or walk you through this process. How are we going to collect our data? What do we think that looks like right now? How do we plan to analyze our data? And then finally, that results reporting. You may not have big ideas about that yet, that's fine. But we need to be making progress in terms of updating this document. Now, the cool thing about this being a Google Doc is that it's a living document, which means that you don't have to like keep turning it in like copies of it to Carrie. Every time you go in and make a change, it's automatically uploaded and we can see it live as it happens. All right, questions about your task when you break into groups. We need to clarify grouping. So those of you who weren't on the list, or those of you who might have missed the initial PD or whatever, we need to figure out who's doing what, and we can spread out all over the library. Then you start to share your document and work through the planning template process. All right, let's go.
Emily, where's
All right. So you filled out everything up to action.
Did you find it in there?
We're so on it on my phone. It's, I went to my Google Docs, and then I went to shared with me, and that's how I got it. Yeah, like. Oh, okay, good.
but I can't type on it. Sorry. It's gotta be from
Right. Yeah.
Christine, we gotta use yours.
That's fine. Until we pull back together again.
Oh, well, this is your name, that's too
I
bad.
don't even know what it's called.
There you are.
What's this? What power? Is there a pause in here?
That's what I was looking for.